Thank you, Christopher. Thank you all for coming out. Of course you came out. You want to hear about angels. They are fascinating. Let me begin by telling you 12 things you probably already know. 1, angels are real. They really exist. If there are 200 human beings in this room, there are at least 403 persons in this room. Only 200 of them are human, 200 of them are angels, and the other 3 are the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. They exist not just in our minds or in our myths or in our symbols or in our culture. They're as real as your dog or your sister or your toenail. Second, they're present right here, right now, and they're not deaf and they're not blind. They're right next to you and they see you. If we could see them as they see us, we would be like somebody waking up and looking into the mirror and seeing another face looking out of the mirror at you. So for our own comfort, they remain invisible. Third, they are not cute. They're not cuddly, they're not comfortable, they're not chummy, they're not cool. They are fearsome and formidable. In fact, you have to speak French. Formidable. They're huge. They're warriors. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, a great Jewish rabbi of the 20th century, said that, well, he didn't have cell phones. Excuse me, I have to disable my little tyrant here. Is that mine or? Oh, that's somebody else's, I'm sorry. Mine always does that. That does sound like mine. Well, it gives me a thrill to kill these things anyway. I think digital murder is a virtue rather than a vice. Since angels are messengers from God, they're more godlike than we are. So when you look at an angel, you're looking up in the direction of God. So you, if you see them correctly, feel the same thing towards them as you feel towards God, which is awe. One of Rabbi Heschel's students once came to him, saw him at his study. He was translating some old Talmudic text. And the student said, "It must be nice for you to live amidst the comforts of religion." And he stood up, all 6'6" of him with flaming red hair, and said, "Comforts of religion, let me translate for you what I was just reading of the 11th century mystic, whatever his name is. God is not an uncle. God is not nice. God is an earthquake." The student didn't understand. Fourth, angels are the real extraterrestrials, the real supermen, the ultimate aliens. Their powers are far beyond fictional creatures. They're better than Superman. And fifth, they're more brilliant minds than Einstein. And sixth, they can literally move the heavens and the earth if God lets them. And seventh, there are also evil angels, fallen angels, demons, devils. These are not myths. They're real. Demon possession is real. Exorcisms are real. If not, Jesus is a fake and the church lies. Eighth, you really do have your own guardian angel. Everybody does. Jesus says so. The church says so. Ninth, you can talk to your angel, and your angel's not deaf. You can share thoughts with your angel. Your angel's not stupid. You can also conceal your thoughts from your angel. They're not intrusive. They're not gossips. 10th, angels usually come disguised. The writer of the Epistle of the Hebrews says, "Do not neglect hospitality, for some have entertained angels unawares." Take that literally. 11th, we're at war. Spiritual warfare is a theme of almost every page in the Bible. We are on a battlefield. And we are just pawns on a very large chessboard. And we are protected by our guardian angels from formidable forces of evil, and tempted by those formidable forces of evil to ignore our angels and the job they're doing. Finally, we're protected. Angels care for us. We're their pets, although they don't keep us on a leash. What do I know about angels anyway? Nothing. There are no experts on angels. Well, then why am I talking about them? Well, because I'm a Catholic. The church tells us a lot about angels. Where did the church get that from? Well, from Christ. They're his angels, after all. And Christ promised to be with his apostles throughout the history of the church and to send his Holy Spirit to lead the church into all truth. And therefore, when the church says that someone like St. Thomas Aquinas is a doctor of the church, that means that though he's not infallible, he made a couple of mistakes. For instance, he thought incredibly that there were no angels in heaven. Still, he's reliable. And what he and the saints say about angels is probably true. So, I am going to be very unoriginal here. And most of what I tell you, if you're good Catholics and well-educated, you probably know already. But those are the most important things to say, things that we know already. New information is rarely terribly important. There are 14.3 million rocks on the dark side of the moon. Who cares? The only way to be happy is to be good. Well, we know that, but we should care 1,000 times more than we do. Angels are fascinating, precisely because they're so different. They're other. If aliens really landed here from an extraterrestrial civilization, we'd be fascinating. Well, aliens have landed here long ago. They're angels. They're the real aliens among us. And they're far more different than we are, than any extraterrestrials, because they don't have bodies, and they have superhuman minds. We're fascinated by intelligence in non-human forms. That's why I think we find the higher animals interesting. I once made a little experiment with my students. I asked them how many of them were quite interested in angels. And it was a questionnaire, it was anonymous, so they didn't have to be embarrassed. And then I asked them also on the questionnaire, how many of them were interested in animals? And I thought that the materialists would be interested in animals and the spiritualists would be interested in angels, but I found that almost to a person, anyone who was interested in angels were interested in animals, and anyone who was not interested in angels was not interested in animals. I asked them to rate their interest on a scale of 1 to 10, because nobody's going to say absolutely yes or absolutely no. But it seems that interest in angels and interest in animals almost always go together. Why? Because they're both different than we are. People who are open-minded and interested in things that are different, they're interested in both. In fact, the best argument from pure reason for the existence of angels is from the existence of animals. Look, here we are, human beings. And then the life forms below us. An incredibly rich variety of animals, from higher to lower animals, from the chimpanzee to the worm to the TV executive. And below that plant life of all sorts of forms, and below that chemical, mineral life. Well, the chains, the links on the great chain of being, the steps on the cosmic hierarchy are totally filled below us. The author of the universe is incredibly creative. There's no gaps. Now, if there's no angels, there's a bigger gap between us and God than there is between us and a grain of sand. Did God somehow get uncreative in saying, well, I'll take it up to human beings, but then I'll fall asleep? Not likely.